I don't know anything at all, but here's what I think I know. Welcome to News Like Jagger. I guess this is episode 2 in this format. And oh boy, I have not been consistent. It's been a long time since I reviewed Royal Rumble 2003, but hey, I'm back. Still no frills. I got a brand new laptop that had a corrupted firmware because, of course, that would happen. But I think I said on the last time, I want to be able to do, a little graphic or at least something to make this more aesthetically pleasing aside from just my big dumb head talking to you. But hey, here we are, and it's Wrestlemania week. So what does that mean? That I am here to talk to you about the 2022 New Japan Cup, despite wearing my Mr. WrestleMania shirt. Yeah, it was a fantastic tournament that just ended this past weekend with Zack Sabre Jr. bringing the cup home, number 2, in his defeat over Tetsuya Naito with the Zack Driver in 24 minutes, 43 seconds in Osaka Joe Hall. I guess I'll just talk about the final here to begin, and then kind of work back. Love the final, stemming back to the 2021 G1 night 1 when Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Naito, injuring his knee and causing him to sit out the rest of the G1. So a lot of stakes here, a lot of history here, and him beating Naito with the Zack Driver was key because that's how he defeated him in the 2018 G1, which essentially ended Naito's bid that year. And he'd already kicked out of it once this match, and he hit it with the spinning variety, and it was just wonderful. As Zack continued to work Naito's knee all throughout. And Naito had not hit a Destino for a win in this tournament. He'd hit a couple of the half ones people had kicked out. He won all of his matches via roll-up. And as my good buddy Azar said before this match, Zack Sabre Jr. ain't going to play that roll-up shit. It was a piece of piss, mate. I love that's what he was saying in the earlier rounds. He called it a piece of piss. But when he defeated Will Ospreay in a very, very grueling match, he said, "Oh, that was not a piece of piss, Kevin." So I love Zack going back to his 2021 G1 run, which fell short of the final. I thought he carried his block that tournament. And this was nothing different. He came into this New Japan Cup and steamrolled his way through some key opponents. Ospreay, I already mentioned, Shingo Takagi in the semifinal, and then Naito. And then also his faction member Doki before that in a very compelling match. But what a run it's been for Zack Sabre Jr. I'm so happy to see him get his second New Japan Cup, his first coming in 2018, which he challenged Kazuchika Okada at that time for the title, and he will be challenging him again, this time for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship and the new belt, which I've gotten a little bit used to. That'll be at Hyper Battle on April 9th. I cannot wait for that. I really hope Zack can get the W, but I just don't see it happening. But like I said, this was a joy of a tournament to watch. I think it's signifying New Japan Pro Wrestling turning a corner from what has been, I don't want to say lackluster since the pandemic, but booking wise hasn't always been the best. The matches have still been great. I still think not some of the best matches in the world, period, are happening in this promotion. And I think things are starting to look up a little bit, including, hey, the thing I've probably hated the most, and a lot of fans have hated the most in the last year and a half or so, is the House of Torture and what Evil and his crew has been doing. It's getting a little better. There was a huge storyline when he defeated Tama Tonga in the second round, where the entire Bullet Club turned against Tama, Tangaloa, and Jado, including the Bullet Club OG, Bad Luck Fale, which that hurt to see. So they have all now sided with Jay White, apparently, so Jay White had been mentioned several times on commentary throughout this tournament. He's been doing his thing in Impact Wrestling and in New Japan Strong. He's had an outstanding 2022, in my opinion, compared to what he'd been doing in 2021. So I'm happy to see it. But a lot of Jay White talk throughout this tournament, and even that he's the leader and not Evil, which, we've thought that those two would be on a collision course at some point for the leadership of Bullet Club. Well, at least from what we hear, it appears to be Jay's, even though he's doing his thing over here in the States. But I love it. And with so much talk of him, you know, in Bullet Club and all that, maybe a return to Japan is in order. I hope so. Maybe for the G1, maybe for Dominion. I don't know. But I'd love to see him. But again, I'm just happy he is, in my opinion, having more of an impact in the States this year than last. But just a couple other storylines, I guess, that came out of this, and then I'll just go through some of my favorite matches, trying to be a little better on time here as I reviewed Royal Rumble in 2003, and it went like 47 minutes. But hey, that's me. I talk and I love wrestling. And I don't have the outlet enough. I don't know why I don't do this enough, but life's been weird and it's tough sometimes. But hey, I'm here now, and we'll see how it goes. But Kota Ibushi was scratched right before the tournament. He had his elbow injury. I think it was elbow or shoulder. I can't even remember. It's been a while since last year's G1. He was slated to be in the tournament and face the Great Okan, which I loved their match in last year's G1, but he was scratched right before. So best wishes to my golden lover and one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. I hope he's back soon. I love that the matches were shorter. They weren't going for the epic, 30 plus main event, 30-minute plus main events. In fact, I'm not sure if any match in this tournament even hit 30 minutes. I'd have to really go through it, but a lot of matches, and when we're getting later on, obviously some of the earlier ones were short, but even in the third round or the quarterfinals, semifinals, under 20 minutes, 20 to 25 range, a lot. So I love it. New Japan in the pandemic kind of got used to these long epic matches, which has been their calling card, but they were doing it when it was unnecessary and not Okada versus whomever for the belt. So I loved that. That was key. Naito, virtue of his victory over Okada in the semifinals, earns another title shot, presumably, even though he just challenged for it at the New Beginning in February. That's been a match that's been protected heavily by New Japan, over the years. It's been a dome match, Wrestle Kingdom 12 and 14, and that's it. And now we've already seen it twice in the first 3 months of the year, and presumably again. Or will Naito maybe wait to win the G1 because he says he wants to challenge Okada in the Dome or fight Okada in the Dome one more time, despite defeating him in Wrestle Kingdom 14. Finally, in one of my favorite matches of all time. I cried in my bed in the morning, just sitting Indian style, crying in my bed, watching it with Naito finally getting his moment. But hey, it was pretty cool. So yeah, that's something to look out for. I love the addition of Shima, and from the GLATE promotion, he'd been in Dragon Gate. They did a little in AEW, and the Strong Hearts, Al Lindemann and T-Hawk. Just a nice infusion of some new known talent in New Japan. Shima obviously, nearing the tail end of his career, but he can still go and he's still exciting, and the Strong Hearts bringing a lot of energy here to New Japan, and hopefully we get to see a lot more of them. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess then the other main thing was just a lot of chalk, so to speak, in NCAA basketball terms, but not too many upsets this tournament. Which ended up working out perfectly because, New Japan Cups of the past, you'd always have, a first, second round, pretty major upsets happen. But in this one, really the first one that would be considered an upset, which I kind of thought Shima would win, but was Shima defeating Hiroki Goto in the third round to move on to the quarterfinals. But yeah, pretty standard. New Japan kind of sticking with their guns here and going with the big guys all around. And like I said, it worked. In the final 8 of, let me grab it here. I had it already. The final 8 of Okada, Shima, Naito, Cobb, Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, and Hiromu Takahashi, just all heavy hitters across the board. And once we got into that quarterfinal round and beyond, the matches were just excellent. But my favorite match of the tournament was on night 1, and that was Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, defeating El Desperado, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, in a match that I went 5 stars. Oh man, I was just gripped and compelled from second one until it ended about 26 minutes and change in. Desperado is a guy that I've grown to love a lot over the last year plus, especially at the end of the 2020 Best of Super Juniors when he unmasked and had that crazy fight with Hiromu. And then he kind of carried the junior division a lot in 2021 with Hiromu being out for a large chunk. He got his Wrestle Kingdom win over Hiromu this year, and he's truly elevated himself and that belt. But I love this match so much. You know, typically the champ match happens at the anniversary show, but they made this the New Japan Cup opening round. And Okada was kind of disrespecting and toying with El Desperado a little bit, you know, kind of acting like he's not on his level, trying to choke him out with the money clip. You're not worthy of the Rainmaker. But El Desperado was fucking relentless and going after Okada's knee and just not stopping and showing toughness and grit and that fighting spirit and never going away. And Okada realized, oh shit, this guy is tough and I am going to have to beat him with the Rainmaker. But, you know, there was really no doubt coming in that Okada wasn't going to win this, but damn, they sure made me believe otherwise. I know there was a late submission, the numero dos, as he calls it, that he had in that, you know, Okada was real. Like, again, he's not going to tap out, but goddamn, for that few seconds, I believed it. Just an incredible match. And again, because I was just so dialed into it, and I've loved the El Desperado character, and Okada's on a roll. Yeah, my favorite match of the tournament, top 3 of the year for me, 5 stars. Watch it. The first couple of rounds, there weren't really a ton of good matches. You know, that was one of them. And then the second was Shingo Takagi versus Tomohiro Ishii, which every time those two go out, they always have a war. It's always amazing. They beat the shit out of each other. They push each other to the limits. Shingo got the W here. But aside from those two, really no other compelling first round matches. There were 48 men in the tournament. I forgot to mention. So a lot of people had buys. I was a little perturbed, I guess, when the brackets came out, because I'm like, why did all these jobbers get a bye, like Gato and Dick Togo and people like that all getting buys? But again, like I said, it all worked out. Second round, I want to note a couple of matches here that I really liked on night 6. I was planning to say all the nights. Shingo Ishii was night 3. Night 6 was Will Ospreay versus El Phantasmo. They've had their battles over the years, especially in the junior heavyweight division. They had a couple great matches in 2019 where Phantasmo beat Will in the G1, and then Will beat him in their rematch for the junior heavyweight championship. And this was no different. This was a lot quicker. I think it went about 17, 18 minutes, but these guys did not miss a beat. And it was just an awesome match. And then on night 7, to round out the second round, woo boy, Hiromu Takahashi and Minoru Suzuki, the young junior against the old veteran mean bastard, and they just overhand slapped the shit out of each other for the whole match. I can't remember the exact number, but Kevin Kelly said there were like 260 overhand slaps in the match, and I don't think they'd ever wrestled before. And obviously it was just kind of that dichotomy, like I mentioned, young junior, old wily veteran heavyweight Suzuki, and he beat the shit out of him and let him have it. But Hiromu would not go away, and eventually got the victory that, you know, could be considered an upset, but probably not, because Hiromu's a rising star and Suzuki is Suzuki, but he can still get the best out of people. That's for damn sure. Basically, I'm just running through all the matches I had at 4 stars or higher, which were 17, which is a lot, but hey, I like New Japan. Sue me. We move into the third round, night 8, Okada versus Taichi. They've had some very good matches over the years. And again, I loved, similar to El Desperado, but not nearly that level, but Taichi pushed Okada and pushed him. And, he kind of had a late flurry of moves where you were kind of believed, oh my gosh, is this the first time Taichi beats Okada? Because I think it's going to happen at some point, but it was not. Okada bests him in another just very solid match. And then night 9, 2 very solid matches, Jeff Cobb versus Yoshihashi and Tetsuya Naito versus Tanahashi. We'll start there. They had an epic trilogy in 2017. All three matches right around the 5-star level, just incredible stuff. I can't remember if they've had any matches since then, but this one, it wasn't bad, but it was nowhere near on those levels. I think I had it at 4 stars, but felt a little off in the beginning, but they got it going and still had a very fun, compelling match. And Naito wins with the roll up. And then Cobb Yoshihashi, I remember they had a nice match in the G1. Yoshihashi, talk about pushing him to the limits. Yoshihashi threw everything he had at Jeff Cobb, but Cobb overcame him. Yoshihashi, to me, has been most improved since the pandemic. I actually really care about his matches and really want to see him win. And then night 10, we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Great-O-Khan, another G1 rematch, 2 technical wizards. I mean, O-Khan's not really a wizard yet, but hey, he's on his way. And I love Great-O-Khan. He's the man. Get some Mongolian chops. But yeah, Zack took care of business here, but just another fun match. And then night 11, again, 2 very, very crisp, solid matches, Shingo Takagi and Chase Owens, where Chase worked on the neck of Shingo big time. And, he got a ton of offense in this. And again, no one in their right mind would have thought Chase Owens was going to win here, but they did a damn good job of building it up. And the neck injury or neck work kind of comes into play later in the tournament. So I love that as well. And then Hiromu Takahashi versus Evil might have gotten the single biggest pop out of me at the finish. I mentioned earlier about having some distaste for Evil in the House of Torture, just because all the interference bullshit, everything they'd been doing just was the same every single match. It was never different. They're finally switching it up a little bit now, which I like. But Hiromu gets the W with Evil's finisher, which I can't remember. It's Everything is Evil. I was going to say Darkness Falls, but Everything is Evil. Just a massive, I had a visceral reaction like, ah! Just again, they got me. I love Hiromu, and it was just so cool to see him beat his old LIJ mate. I think they may have been in the same Young Lion class, but anywho, I was pretty damn surprised and very, very happy to see Hiromu win it. And in the final 8, I already mentioned the folks in it, but on night 12 we had Jeff Naito versus Tetsuya Cobb, JK. Tetsuya Naito versus Jeff Cobb, a rematch from Wrestle Kingdom this year. I thought this match might have been a little bit better. Again, just both guys, Naito continuing to work Cobb's knee. Cobb really getting a little, not cocky, but a little showboaty here, doing some Naito Tranquilo stuff. They just had another great bruiser of a match. That Naito was able to get the W again. So you got to think Jeff Cobb is coming for Naito at some point. And actually, well, let me do the next match, then I'll step back. Kazuchika Okada versus Shima. A dream match probably a decade ago, but these two still put on a nice bout here that Okada got the W. But I meant to step back at the beginning. I didn't fill out a bracket per se, but I probably would have had Cobb versus ZSJ in the final with Cobb winning. I think my heart would have said ZSJ, my head would have said Cobb. I just thought Cobb versus Okada made sense again, given their trilogy last year. But again, I'm thrilled that Zack Sabre Jr. won. And moving on to night 13, Shingo Takagi versus his current stablemate Hiromu Takahashi. Incredible stuff. I mean, this is one I definitely want to rewatch, but I've said it a million times, but Hiromu took Shingo to the limit. He came in with the neck injury. I was really planning to do a little research before these and take some notes, but I didn't. But just an awesome match and a lot of fire from Hiromu Takahashi here. And again, didn't back down one iota, not like he didn't against Suzuki or Evil, but just tremendous stuff here. And I mean, Shingo, what else is there to say? The guy's fucking unreal. And then a true firecracker to round out night 13, the reunion of the Brits. I don't know why I said that, but piece of piss mate Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Will Ospreay, and just it was outstanding. There was, I mean, these two every time they go out have, it seems like the floor is 4.5 stars, if not more. They had two incredible matches in 2020, one in New Japan, one in Rev Pro. And then the New Japan Cup last year, where Zach broke Will's nose and Will got the W. And then this year, they had one of the most insane, like pinning, rolling counter sequences I've ever seen. The pace was just so strong throughout. Just excellent stuff here. And Zach getting a bit of a surprise win with a bit of controversy, as they would say across the pond over there. A bit of controversy. He claimed he did not tap out when he said he was just kind of hitting his knee. So will these two, I mean, Ospreay's got a claim for a rematch here as well. So, you know what, I'm all for it. And then we get to the final four, and I mean, I'm a broken record. Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo Takagi, absolute fucking masterclass. I think this was even better than both their matches last year, which I had both at 4 3/4 stars. This one comes in at under 20 minutes. I do want to rewatch it. I might be giving it 5 stars, but I haven't. I want to rewatch it first, because I watched this with Azar and Micah from Specifically Devoid on a Zoom call, and I was fucking locked in. But again, when you're with 2 other people on a Zoom, you're not giving your undivided attention. But just from the word go in this, Zach was just relentless on Shingo's neck, just relentless over and over. And Shingo, again, just showing the fighting spirit as he always does. And that net coming into play from the Chase Owens match. Let me make sure my pork roast is okay. I got a little bit of time, but not a lot. But yeah, just again, incredible stuff. Just watch it. How about that? These two have such incredible chemistry now. Their third match in the last year, and then I think it was their first since something in Germany back in like 2010, where I think Shingo just owned him. But these two have a budding rivalry right now. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And Zach's currently got the edge 2-1. And Naito and Okada, I mentioned that they had the match earlier. This one was a bit of a step down from their New Beginning match, which I was at 4 3/4 stars. I thought it was excellent, amazing. And this was very, very good as well. As not a knock on it. But just a slight step down. And Naito again gets a roll-up variety and catches Okada off guard. But yeah, what a run by Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. And what a tournament. I loved it. I really enjoyed all of it, and just excited to see where New Japan is heading here. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention New Japan Strong. That's been cooking along as well. I don't watch every week, but I've been trying to watch a little more. Jay White versus Swerve was a really good match I saw recently. But yeah, Strong killing it as well. And there's a lot of big shows coming up in the US. So pay attention to New Japan Pro Wrestling. My top 5 matches of the tournament. Number 5 was the overhand slap fest between Hiromu Takahashi and Minoru Suzuki. Number 4 from the first round, Shingo Takagi and Tomohiro Ishii. 2 of my favorites. Like I said, they can do no wrong. Always an incredible match. Number 3, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ospreay. Number 2, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo Takagi. And number 1, as I mentioned on the onset, Kazuchika Okada versus El Desperado. Night 1. Yeah, just outstanding stuff. And like I said, I hope to do this a little more. I need just to get my head out of my ass, you know. But hey, I hope you enjoyed it. And goodbye.